All right, good morning, cyber friends. Yes, I say good morning. It's exactly 1:19 a.m. Tuesday morning, and we give God all the praise and glory and honor for life, health, and strength. Yet at it, middleman, yet at it. And matter of fact, we want to say that we give honor to all of the ones that are cyber friends and all the ones of the Bible study. We want to say we give them honor this morning early. And we thank God for each and every one of you. So this what I'm saying today is this. If you look at the title of this video, it's plain to tell you false balances and just weights. False balances, just weights. People, middleman come to you tonight, or early this morning I should say that God detests. It's an abomination to have a false balance. But it is His delight in just weights. In other words, God does not like us to be dishonest. Just point blank, simple. He loves us to be honest in our dealings with each other, with everything in and everything that we do. He wants us to be honest. In other words, we sometimes deal treacherously with each other, thinking that we are, I don't know, some kind of way we think that we are doing something and we are getting by. But people, you are never getting by. I want you to know that. You are not getting by. In other words, Jesus said there is nothing that's done in secret that's not going to be revealed on the housetop. In other words, it's coming up again. It's coming out. So you may as well just be straight from the get-go. Just be straight from the get-go. In other words, he said, Jesus said, either make the cup clean or make it cup clean or dirty. One of the two. In other words, it says in the book of Revelation, He said, I would rather you be what? Hot or cold. But because you're lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. You make God sick to His stomach when we be so frailly in our dealing. We one way, 1 minute, we ain't either hot or cold. But we want to stand right there in the middle. Oh, no, people. Just wait is His delight. In other words, there's nothing wrong with bearing your burden in the heat of the day. If it's just, there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, God delights in that, for you to carry your load. Some of us want other people to carry our load. You want other folk to do all your work for you. You want them to do the work and you enjoy the benefit. That's not biblical. That's not biblical at all. And we got some people, I don't know, we for some reason or another, we think that somebody owes us something. No. Wrong answer. But God said a just weight, but not a false balance. A false balance is an abomination. In other words, when you go out and seek to deceive people, you're not really deceiving. I mean, let me make something very, very clear. When we try to deceive people, most of the time you're not deceiving people. People are very smart. They are hip to your little scheme. In other words, you may think, and remember, you reap what you sow. You reap exactly what you sow. But the only thing about that process is the harvest is always greater than the planting. So while you plant these seeds of discord and deceit and trying to scheme and trying to be a con man or woman or whatever you want to call it, you're not really fooling anyone. You're not really fooling anyone. They may not say anything, but they are very privy to your scheme. Let us be for real, people. Let us just be for real. I figure like this here. If a person, I would rather a person just tell me straight up that they are not going to do something than to tell me they are and don't. I don't have no tolerance for that. In other words, you are a free moral agent. God gave you free will. You don't have to lie to anyone. You don't have to try to deceive anybody. Just do what your free will urges you to do. If I get to a place to where now, you know, like I said, a lot of people think that you just got to rely on them. But see, if you think that this world can't rotate without you, I dare you to die. This world's going to continue to rotate 24 hours in a day. It's going to rotate one time in 24 hours. It's going to do that whether you here or not. In other words, you may think that you all that in a bag of chips, but let me tell you something, you can always be replaced. I realize that as a musician myself. As a musician myself, and I don't ever want to think that I'm so great that the church just got to have me. Church ain't got to have me. Church did without me a long time before I got here, and it's going to be going on a long time after I leave here. So let me tell you, to some people you are very unnecessary. Myself, I look at it every day. I am not needed by a lot of people. No one cares nothing about whether Midi-Man exists or not. You are totally unnecessary to some people. So don't get to thinking that you all of that and a bag of chips. But let me tell you something. It's a song we used to sing when I was in Andrew College Choral Leaders in my junior college. And the song that we sang in the Choral Leaders, one of the songs in our repertoire was, "No man is an island. No man stands alone." In other words, there's safety in the multitude of counselors. In other words, when you got somebody like-minded and that you can deal with, and y'all can come to an accord and agreement and learn to lean on each other and get a job done, whatever it might be. In the church, you certainly got to have unity. You got to have unity in the church. But in anything else, if you're going to be successful, you have to be consistent and you have to have unity. Everybody must be on one accord. If not, it's not going to succeed. So if you can learn to put a just weight on Midi-Man's shoulder, but remove a just weight, I don't mind carrying. But you're going to have to move your false balance. In other words, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to put up with that, and neither should you. In other words, people, we need to learn to be real. Just be for real. Let's stop all this here scalawagging around. Let's stop all this front. In other words, just be what you are. If you do what you say you're going to do. Or else just forget it and leave it alone. That's what it is. I say this every day of my life. I try to walk that same walk. I walk it, not just talk it. I try to do what I say. If I say something, I try to come through with it. And that's how come we need to limit sometimes of what we say. Because, see, we don't have time in our hand. We don't have our health in our hand. We don't know what a day may bring. So therefore, we must be very, very careful how we make promises. Matter of fact, don't make any promises whatsoever. But just we would say, if the Lord will, that we will do such and such. That's what the Apostle Paul said. So, but once you say something, come through with it. Follow through with it. You are only good as your word. Point blank. So this is what I was saying about false balances and just weight. People false balances, God abhors. It's an abomination to him. But a just weight is his delight. In other words, I don't mind carrying a just weight, but you can keep your false balances. With that being said, whatever you get into, if God ain't in it, best you come out of it, people. It's going to come to nothing. Just thought I'd come back and holler at y'all about this here a little bit. Get out of it, stay out of this, God is not in it. Peace until the next video or Bible study, whichever comes first. Holler later.